Alright, so I know the lighting's probably not the best. It's dark out and we've got all the lights on here, but still. I thought I'd do a quick video on, I get a lot of questions like in our buddy videos on how we decide if we're going to pull something out with a chain, or why we decided to use a rope instead of a chain, or why did we use the chain over the rope. And so I have, like on a smaller scale, a chain out of my truck, and a tow rope that I have in my truck for cars. If you've watched our videos, we've pulled out the combine and other tractors and carts with like the big brother to this rope, the same thing. This one's rated for, I think 25,000. Yeah, and this one's rated for 25,000 pounds. I don't know what these chains are rated for, I should know, but they're pretty beefy. It's what I use to chain the skid loader down to the trailer. And I knew when we bought them, but I just can't recall right now. But anyway, how do we decide what we're going to use? And basically what we ask ourselves is, are we spun out or are we actually sunk in and stuck? If you're just spun out and you want to, a lot of times we want just a steady pull, we're not going to jerk. So those semis that were stuck in that one video, our neighbors were borrowing the rope, but even if they weren't, we probably would use our big heavy chain that we have. With a chain, there's no stretch, so when those semis are stuck and we pull tight, it's one steady pull, because he's just spun out, he's not sunk in, there's no jerk effect. We don't jerk with chains. You know, if you start jerking with a chain, you're asking for one of these links to give out, right? And you're going to have a bad day. I've seen chains break for the most part. They fling back a little bit, but for the most part I've seen them just drop. And you shouldn't count on that, but that's what I've seen. Now you did notice in that video that when we did pull those out, we did put a tire in the middle. Could have put two, probably should have put two a little more evenly spaced out. And basically what the theory behind that is, and now some guys are like, forget that, it doesn't work. But basically what the theory behind that is, if that link blows up and there is any little bit of slingshot effect, the weight of that tire should pull that chain to the ground instead of slingshotting that chain into the cab. Why would we put two tires on there? Well, if the chain's so long that if you put the chain or the tire in the middle and there's still enough chain, let's say if it breaks between the tire and the semi and there's still enough chain to fling up into the cab, you probably should have a tire there too. But that's just an extra little precaution we take. Don't know if it's proven or works or whatever. Heard from a few guys, so we use it. We also use that effect, or that tip, when we use our rope. And I would say it's even more so critical to use a tire in the middle of your rope in case anything breaks. And we had a pretty bad experience with one of these ropes, and it wasn't the rope's fault, it was the clevis's fault. And I'll talk about clevises here in a second. We had a stuck grain cart, and I mean stuck. And started pulling on it to get it out, and I had just gotten out, and I was standing off to the side, and basically what happened was we used a clevis to connect into the tractor, and that's how, because when they have these big hooks, even when we use the combine, we don't use the clevis anymore. We do use clevises, but sometimes we'll use a chain, and we'll go through the axle of the combine with a chain and wrap it 2 or 3 times to really beef up the chain strength, and then hook the chain through the rope. And that's how we connect in. Or, if we're able to, we'll run the rope around whatever, around a hook, around the axle, whatever you're going to hook into, and we use a clevis, okay? And I hope you can see this well. Here was our critical mistake. We used a clevis to connect. We basically did this. We went through the rope. And this one's a little too, the clevis is too big for this small of a rope. We went through the rope, around, and then we connected back in like this. So we had hooked the front of the tractor cart like this. What went wrong is we used the clevis like this. And I say this because I want people to be safe and learn from our mistakes, because nobody else needs to learn this the hard way. And if this video enlightens one person, saves one life, then That's the whole point of this video. So you probably can't see my face because I want to step close enough here so you can see this. This is where we screwed up. The clevis we used was one of these, if I recall right. Right? You put it through, and then you put your keeper pin on, and now you're connected, right? Okay. When you're yanking on this, this was our weak point. One, I think it was not necessarily a cheaper clevis, but it found our weakest link, and it was the clevis. So what happened was, the yanking on it at the cart and the pull tractor, this clevis opened up, okay? This little cheesy kingpin, whatever you want to call it, pin, yeah, that blew right off. So as this is expanding out, eventually it got to the point where the pin just came out, and this was completely, the clevis was completely straight. And I watched this clevis on the end of this rope slingshot from the cart tractor the full length of the rope through the back windshield of a four-wheel drive tractor and hit him in the back. And without getting into that too much, I thought the worst had happened. I mean, there was, he still got hurt pretty good. Luckily, it wasn't more grim outcome, but that's why I'm making this video. I don't want people to get hurt, and I want people to learn from that. So basically, I can't even find a clevis around my own house or my pickup to demonstrate that. This clevis is designed like this now. The only reason I would ever use a clevis with just a pin through that, and the pin like I just showed you, is when I pull like a drag section behind a four-wheeler to drag a cow pasture or something, or a horse pasture. The only clevises you should use when you're towing, make sure you get a good clevis, are the ones that have a bolt. They have treads on the end of them, right? That you can put them in, and you have to turn them in to lock them in, right? Now, there's far less possibility of this clevis wanting to open up, okay? Please, 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 do not do this anymore. If you do this, listen to the story I just told you. Honestly, that was probably one of the scariest days on the farm, and I hope that's the scariest day I've ever been a part of on that farm. So, please don't do that. Use clevises. If you're going to go out and buy clevises, please use the ones that have the treads on that you could turn in. The other thing that maybe could have helped us that day, and why we started using that today as well, is when we slingshotted that clevis through the back window. These stretch, and they really stretch. When you they're made to take off, stretch, and then they pull back, and that's how that's what they're designed to do. Well, when the clevis gives out, you got yourself one heck of a slingshot. The tire, or tires, in the middle on this rope, I'm pretty well convinced that they could have dropped it to the ground. The weight of them, I mean, it's going to still fling. It's either A, going to drop to the ground, or it's going to slow it down a lot. It was an unbelievable amount of force, and what it did to that back of that tractor, and then his body base, it really hit him hard. So please, that's why we, if we're doing a steady pull chain, don't have a lot of experience with cables, but I think cables are along the same, I don't want to speak too much to them, but I would think of them more along the lines of a chain, steady pulls, no jerking. I've seen a couple of those come apart, and they kind of just unravel, and I'm not even going to say if they slingshot or not, I don't know, but we've thought about getting like one or two heavy cables for those types of things too, but we really, really love our big blue rope. We call it just the big blue rope when we hang it on the cart or we hang it in the rock box or something. And it's rated, this one's, like I said, this one's $25,000 for my pickup. The one we have for the combine is rated for like 125 or 150,000 pounds. And the thing is like, it's a rope, it's huge. So we really like those. And they're expensive, but honestly you can't put a price on safety. And I know that sounds cliche and corny, but you can't put a price on safety, and honestly, you'll save yourself in the long run if you do things the safest way that you can. So, The other tip, a lot of times you see grain carts stuck, and you see a lot of guys rushing to pull them out right away. The one last tip I'll leave you with after all this is unload the grain cart, please. There's so much weight and it takes so much force to pop that grain cart out of the ground. If you have all that weight, you're asking a lot out of your rope, out of your chain, out of your clevis, whatever you're using to pull out. You're asking a lot out of that. So if you can get the weight, heck, if you can get the weight off the cart, a lot of times you can drive them out. But if you can't, they'll pull out far easier if you don't have, 60,000 pounds of corn. Or some of these new carts, who knows how many thousands of pounds of corn in there. So that's just my quick tip on like how we decide if we're going to use chains or the rope, and then my personal opinion on clevises. So take it for what it's worth. I hope you learned something or something that you can take away from this. And like I said, I hope if I can just give one person or save one person's life or injury from any of this, this video was worth it. So just a quick video. It's snowing to beat the bandit outside. The river's going this afternoon, but I'm on the way to work here in an hour. So I thought I'd just come out and make this video while I'm out doing chores. So with that, you guys have a good night. Be safe as always, and we'll check you later.